It's higher than it usually used to be? Have I shrunk that much?
It's still up from last week. Sorry.
It is higher than it used to be. It wasn't me.
How low do you want it?
That's good. Thank you. Much better. Good morning. I'm Linda Bryant, and I'm your worship leader this morning. We're going to start with a hymn in Worship and Song 185, Amazing Grace. Please stand as you're able. Oh, and first, silence all cell phones. Put your phone in airplane mode or turn it off so that we have the bandwidth for our Zoom people. I've been instructed that we're keeping our meditative thought to 1 to 2 sentences now. So I have one sentence. So since I have one sentence, I will read it twice. Thank you. Let us be enraged by injustice, but let us not be destroyed by it. That's Bayard Rustin. Let us be enraged by injustice, but let us not be destroyed by it. It is now time for community sharing. We'll start with announcements, and we'll ask first for the people on Zoom if you have any announcements. I don't hear anything. How about the meeting room? Do we have any announcements here?
Of course I have an announcement.
Oh, there you are.
That's my function, chairman of announcements, clerk of announcements general. Anyway, Ann Tarvin, I just wanted to say that thank Tom for being here this week for chat and the weather for cooperating. And next week, those of you who came to Nadja's program on Afghan refugees 3 weeks ago, whatever it was, not very long, she will be back this next Sunday at chat at the usual 9:30 time. Last time she told us about her particular journey as a refugee, and this time she's going to talk about the Afghan American Association that she's got going and what all they are doing and need to do, and that's probably changing under her feet as I speak. So, but she will be back here next week for chat room. And looking ahead, the last Sunday of this month, we will have a special guest talking about the civil rights movement in preparation for the civil rights trip that group is taking. And it will also be our supreme pitch-in, where we will be furnishing soup, and you guys will be bringing all the fixins. And I'm not sure, we may apportion that out alphabetically so we have not 85 boxes of crackers and 1 stick of celery or something, I don't know. So not quite sure how that'll work out. We have a meeting this week.
There's Mary Dooley. There's a group of us that ranges from like 4 to 12 who often go over to Stacks after meeting for worship. And last Sunday when we went, there were a bunch of T-shirts promoting Trump. In my gentle, subtle way, said, "That's disgusting." I went back Monday because I wanted to clarify that I would like to do better on how I said that message, but I was not retracting that message at all. And we decided basically to boycott Stacks. I went back Monday and the manager wasn't there, but I noticed that the shirts were down. Tuesday when I went back and she was there, they were back up and there were more of them. So just for your information, we're staying away from Stacks till they decide if and when they're going to quit supporting Trump.
Sandra Hayes Hartman. I have the rest of the announcement for the gospel concert. You should come. It is February the 15th, which is a Saturday, at 2 o'clock. And one of the most beautiful pieces I've ever played is Hiawatha's Wedding by Samuel Coleridge Taylor. And you know, the introduction is longer than the piece. So you should really enjoy it, but it's so gorgeous. And I have really been working, haven't I, Charles? Yes, for hours, but it should be delightful. 2 o'clock. It's all unusual to me because they're usually on Sunday, but people are involved in their own churches. We have a lot of choir directors and involved, but it's wonderful.
Hi, my name is Josiah Hostetler, and I'm announcing the Religious Diversity Workshop series that will occur at each first Wednesday of each month, this month through November made at Plainfield. It's a joint effort between Hendricks County Community Foundation and the Center for Interfaith Cooperation. So Jeff agreed to put it up on the website, so you'll find the registration link there on Fairfield Meetings website or the Hendricks County Community Foundation website. It's from 5:30 to 7 this Wednesday, and free meal, and the first session will be about Hinduism.
I always forget to tell you, it's at Pike Performing Arts, and let's see, what else did I forget? And of course, it is on a Saturday. And Pike Performing Arts is on Zionsville Road, and many of you came last year. But it's inspiring, and it will give you an insight into how we have survived oppression. Because when the choir sings, you'll get a feeling of elation and appreciation for paths that people have been on. And most people, including me, I tap my foot, but I cry during most of the performance. So please come.
Thank you. Good morning, friends. Jackson Napier. In preparation for the Civil Rights Pilgrimage next month, on Sunday, February 23rd, my professor Colleen Wessel McCoy is going to join us for the first hour programming at 9:30. She is an expert on the Poor People's Campaign, which was founded by Martin Luther King Jr. She's got a PhD in Christian social ethics from Union Theological Seminary, so please join us for that if you're available.
Hi, this is Sue Walton, and I'm promoting our friends in Western North Carolina. If you get Western Works, you know that the meetings in Western North Carolina are in desperate need of anything that we can provide. If you look in Western Works, you'll find where to donate. They are we sent a letter to them in November. They finally responded this past week. They appreciate any and all donations. So if you're led, we'd appreciate you telling us that you have sent a donation so we can sort of tally with what we're up to the committee is called Peace and Social Concerns for Western Yearly Meeting, which is all of us. But do think about our friends in Western North Carolina. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to go up front.
Oh.
I have visuals.
Okay, my first announcement is that book club today at the Rise of Worship. So we're having a pitch-in and carbs, conversation, and coffee. Okay, now that hat goes off, this hat comes on. Now I'm doing a public service announcement for outreach. With the new administration, there is a lot of fear of the impact for the people in our community who struggle financially. As you're at the grocery store, please remember to pick up shelf-stable items if you can. And I brought some visuals because the ones that require no additional ingredients are the best. Like this one, they only have to boil the pasta and the sauce is already put together. This one, it just requires water. They don't have to have butter, they don't have to have milk, things like that. And then also these little packets of tuna are great because they are, just easy, and it's high in protein. If you're unable to contribute, because I know some folks it's hard to carry stuff in from the parking lots, or you might have left it at home on the countertop, which happens a lot at our house. Feel free to put money in the baskets, checks in the basket. You can make checks to Fairfield Outreach. Also, if you have sturdy boxes that are not huge, but nice sturdy boxes or cloth bags, we can use those to take food, to divide the food up and take them to people. If you have any questions, I am one of the co-clerks for Outreach this year. Sue Walton is our other co-clerk, and we'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have. But I've talked to 2 or 3 people this week that are on some government assistance, and they are really frightened of what this is going to have, the kind of impact it's going to have on them. So every little bit helps. Thank you.
Okay, Jackson, come up here and help me.
Raise it up. It's just a matter of pulling, and it catches on the way.
There we go. I want to mention also the friends and family of Randy Coffin, who passed away this week. Randy was a longtime trustee here at Fairfield and a fixture at our fish fry for many years, and just a fine guy. We remember him, and we remember his girlfriend Sandy and his sister and niece. Well, my gosh, what a week it's been. I learned this week that a kid I knew growing up had passed away. And this seems to be happening with more frequency. And I'm usually saddened by the development whenever I hear these kind of things. But when I heard of this man's passing, I had mixed feelings. I met him when I was 10 years old, and my family had moved across town to a new neighborhood. And he lived up the street a few houses. He was 3 years older than I was, much bigger. And when we first met, and I was walking by his house, he came out and greeted me, and he said he wanted to be my friend, which pleased me greatly, since one can never have enough friends. But the next day, while walking home from school, he pushed me to the ground and held me down and spit in my face. And I was so embarrassed about that I didn't tell anyone. If I had told my big brothers, they would have settled the matter for me, but I was too humiliated to tell anyone, so I kept quiet. I'd never been treated like that before, so assumed it was an anomaly, which is what we often do when something bad happens. We say, well, this won't happen again. He was just having a bad day. If I give him the chance to be my friend, I'm sure it will work out all right. So a few days later, when he asked me if I wanted to play football, I said yes, glad for the opportunity to put our relationship on fresh ground. But the first time I ran the ball, he tackled me, held me down, and spit in my face again. I was mystified by this, unable to make sense of his behavior. How could I have let him do this twice? Since it wasn't the movies, I didn't take karate lessons from a Japanese handyman and pay my tormentor back. I just, for as long as I was a kid in that neighborhood and he lived there, I just avoided him. Walking home from school the long way around, making sure our paths never crossed again, and that we were never alone. When you are a Quaker, you take seriously the belief that there is that of God in every person. You want to believe people aren't always who they appear to be, that underneath the bullying facade is a saint waiting to be born, if given the chance, that every Genghis Khan is a Gandhi yearning to be known. I had a Little League coach, Mr. Leith, who once told me, Philip, there is so much good in the worst of us and so much bad in the best of us that it hardly behooves any of us to talk ill of the rest of us. Mr. Leith would have made a good Quaker. And I desperately wanted to believe that what he said was true, that even the worst of us have something good and noble in us. And I have always, for as long as I have been alive, tried to believe that. I truly did. But now I believe that when someone shows us who they are, we should believe them. That when someone shows us who they are, we should believe them. We've been talking about the do's and don'ts in times of change. Significant social change often reveals our real nature. In normal times, we can keep our true selves hidden, pretending to a nobility we do not actually possess. But the winds of change have a way of blowing away the chaff and dross until the true self is revealed. This is when the mask slips and people are most likely to show us who they really are. When they show us who they are, we should believe them. If we don't believe them, if we believe their poor conduct is an anomaly, a deviation from their true character, we become much more vulnerable to their abuse. And that's an okay decision if we want to make that on behalf of ourselves, to willingly absorb the abuse of others. But it never just ends with ourselves. That abuse always inevitably seems to involve the abuse of others. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. When they consistently lie, consistently cheat, consistently use their power to harm, not help, believe they are showing you who they are. Don't be deceived. When the world's wealthiest man stands at a podium and gives a Nazi salute, he is showing us who he is. When a leader talks about law and order but violates the norms of democracy, don't be deceived. It looks like what it is. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. We Quakers love stories of transformation. We love to hear that people have rejected evil to embrace righteousness and goodness and decency. We are in the business of hope. We live for moral makeovers. It thrills us. We love to see greedy people become generous. We love to see racist people become welcoming. We love to see homophobic people become tolerant, warmongers become peacemakers. We love that. Indeed, sometimes we love it so much, we claim transformation has happened when it hasn't. Years ago, when I was pastoring at Irvington Meeting, there was a man on the fringes of the meeting who would get drunk and beat his girlfriend. He phoned me one day drunk, asking me to visit the hotel where he was living, and so I went. He asked me to pray with him that he would stop abusing alcohol and people. So I met and prayed with him several times, going every day for 3 or 4 days. I wanted so badly for him to turn his life around that I encouraged his girlfriend to give him another chance. I said, God has changed him. The next weekend, she phoned to tell me that he had come to her apartment again and beaten her again. When someone shows you who they are, you should believe them. If people tell us they want to make America great, then run roughshod over our Constitution, when they tyrannize those of low estate, when they value wealth over decency, when everyone is at fault but them, when they rip gaping holes in the safety nets our parents and grandparents so kindly and carefully wove together to help the elderly and poor, when they cause us to hate and mistrust one another, then we have every right to question not only their objectives, but their hearts. When people show us who they are, we should believe them. I'm not asking you to be cynical or distrustful. More than ever, we need people to be optimistic and hopeful, to not cover ourselves in clouds of gloom. So never lose hope. But also remember the gospel we have pledged to honor, to love God and neighbor, while keeping close to our hearts the counsel of Jesus, that he sent us forth as sheep in the midst of wolves, to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Be loving, but be wise. Don't be duped. And remember, in days like these, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Let's do what we can. Right now we're going to gather food for folks who need it. If you didn't bring any, open up that wallet and let's fill that basket and let's put our funds to good use for friends who need them.
And friends, while they're doing that, let's stand as you can and join in singing hymn number 223. It's printed wrong in the bulletin, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire.
223. Thank you, Amanda.
Let us remember in this week that as we accept people for what we see them to show us who they are, that inward love guides our words and our actions as well. In all of those encounters, we can't turn spiteful just because someone shows us something despicable.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Amanda. Well, I was driving to meeting this morning. The Bluetooth function in my car did not work, which at first angered me. And then I thought, well, maybe I need to think instead of listen to Bob Dylan. And so I thought. And I thought in times like these how we have 4 choices, maybe more, but I could only think of 4. The first is this, that when we live in challenging, hard, frustrating times, when some people seem determined to hurt others, we can join them. And some folks do that. We can join them. We can ignore it. That's probably where most folks are. They just ignore it. They turn their head. This is a sign of aging. I've forgotten the third one. Which tells me it must not be that important. Or we can join it, we can ignore it, we can resist it. And we resist it always with love, friends, as Amanda reminded us. We do not resist hate with hate. We resist hate with love, with a determination in every moment, at every juncture, to do the right and good and noble thing. So go from this place, friends, and do the right and good and noble thing. Turn and greet your friends.